And welcome back to an all-new episode of Mission Talk. Before we get started, I wanted to say a personal thank you to those of you who have supported us over the past 10 episodes. Today is our season 1 finale, and we cannot thank you enough for the love and support you have given us. But don't worry, because we will be back in the fall with a brand new season of Mission Talk. And now I think it's time to meet our guests for this episode. Let's do this. And welcome back to another episode of Mission Talk. Today on our season finale, we have some special guests coming from my home state of Ohio and not too far down the road, but they now live in Matagapa, if I'm still saying that right, Nicaragua. They are down there as missionaries with Healing Rain Ministries. I have the founders of this organization, Chris and Carmen McBeath. Chris and Carmen, thank you for jumping on with me today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, so Chris, we talked on the phone for a little while, and when I first talked with you on the phone, I thought you were here in the States, and because it was crystal clear quality, and then you're like, "Well, we're actually down in Nicaragua." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's fine." We have interviewed several people already from all over the world, and so now we're adding your country to the list, and so I'm excited for people. I have done some research into what Healing Rain Ministries has been doing. But that's just my studies.
That's so exciting.
So I'm excited for people to know and hear from the founders of Healing Rain Ministries what it is your organization does and how they can be involved. But before we jump into the Healing Rain side of things, Chris and Carmen, can you just introduce yourself and your family?
Absolutely. My name is Chris McBeath, and this is my wife, Carmen. We have 3 children, Dalton, Colton, and Leanne. They're all adults now. And we're all from the Cincinnati area. Mm-hmm. Actually, we're from Harrison out on the west side, but we spent the last probably 30 years up in Mainville, pretty close to Wilmington.
Yes.
And we attended Fellowship of Praise. That's our home church. And we are 2 of the 3 of our children actually work full time with the ministry. Our middle son, Colton, actually just got married last month to one of our staff members in Nicaragua. So he's fully invested now.
Yes.
We were the regular family, working the regular jobs, chasing the American dream, just like everybody else. And God spoke to us, and we dropped everything, tried to figure out, what it meant to be a missionary, and just followed God's calling by, preparing ourselves the best we could. But also he told us that if we just gave everything away instead of selling it, that he would provide for us and our family and our ministry. So we gave away cars, we gave away TVs, furniture, everything we owned. And the next thing you know, we were on a plane to Nicaragua.
So I have to ask, you felt a call into the mission field. How did that call come about, and what brought about Nicaragua? How did that come to be where you're at now?
It's kind of a long story, and we have totally 2 different stories. So I'll let Carmen share just a snippet of hers, and then I'll share a snippet of mine.
When I was 10 years old, I attended Christian school in Harrison, Ohio at an Assembly of God church. And some missionaries came and spoke in my chapel. And I was a wreck, and I didn't understand what was happening, but I felt like God was asking me to do everything that those missionaries did. And I just said, yes, I will. I didn't know what it meant. And my mom actually had to pick me up from school that day because I was such a wreck and I didn't understand what was happening.
But then life happens, and she met me in high school. We were high school sweethearts. I was a homebody, didn't want anything to do with leaving the country. I really didn't even have a relationship with Christ growing up. So it wasn't until I met Carmen that I was introduced to Jesus. And we started dating when she was 15 and I was 16. And in 2 days, we're going to celebrate 26 years of marriage. So, she kind of put things on the back burner as far as her calling. She felt when she met me because, things happen. But we were at a missions conference in the year 2000, and a pastor was preaching a message, and he had a couple pairs of shoes of missionaries that had been martyred and killed on the foreign field preaching the gospel. And he slammed the shoes on the pulpit and said, "Who's going to fill these shoes now?" And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, "You are." And she had never mentioned to me about her calling or anything up until this time. And of course, when I answered the altar call and said, "I don't know what this means, God, but I'll do whatever you need me to do," she was ecstatic. The fire rekindled.
Oh, yeah.
And, we were living the American dream, which also includes lots of debt. So it took us the next 11 years to get out of debt.
Yeah.
And we did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University and started preparing ourselves, like I said, giving things away. It was a long road and exhausting, and the enemy tried to derail us many times.
With discouragement,
And telling us we were failures because it took so long. But in July of 2012, we got on a plane.
Well, if the enemy's trying to discourage you, that means he knows the threat you pose to him.
Amen.
So, that's incredible. So now stepping off the plane, like you said, you were pursuing the American dream. And so I'm sure there was a major cultural shock or cultural differences you noticed stepping on the plane. What were some of those you noticed right off the bat, or that was hard to adjust to?
Okay, so I'm just going to tell a little testimony of this because I attended a women's Bible study in the basement of my friend's church, and it was just a women's Bible study, and we would pray together, pray over each other. And one night, all the ladies just lined up on both sides and said, "Everyone walk through and we'll just lay hands on you and pray. But before you walk through, you just have to speak in faith what you need from God." And this was in June of 2012. And I said, "We need a deposit." I just set a deposit for airline tickets because we didn't even have the money for airline tickets to come here, nothing. And all I did was say that, and I didn't even walk through the ladies in their hands to touch me and pray. And the lady at the end, she said, "My husband works for Delta, and I'm going to give you 5 buddy passes. All you have to do is pay for the tax."
Wow! So that helped us get on the plane. And the biggest cultural difference, I think, is the slow pace of life here. In the U.S., you're always going, you're always doing things. Whereas here, everybody takes time for family. Everybody takes time for friends. When I have staff meetings and have different, activities that we're doing, I have to make sure I tell my staff it's gringo time or American time.
Yeah, be here on gringo time.
Christmas time. Because if I tell them to be there at 9:00, I'll give you just a small example. I preached a wedding a few years ago, and I was told to be there at 4:00. And I said, "Okay." So as an American, I'm there at 3:40, 3:45. I got there a little bit early, and 4:00, there's not a single soul there but me. And I'm like, "Okay." I was told to be here at 4. Okay. About 4:30, there were a handful of people, half a dozen people showed up. No sight of the bride, the groom, the families, nothing. It got to be about 5:00, and the groom shows up with his father, and I said, "You guys told me to be here at 5 or 4, right?" "Oh yeah. Everybody's fine. Everybody's coming." I was like, "Okay." 6:30, the bride shows up. 2.5 hours later, and I really had to ask God to help me because I'm like, this is crazy, But after 9 years of us being here, we've kind of grown into that. And when we come back to visit the States, it's kind of hard to get us going again.
Yeah.
A question I'm really curious to know is, when did the idea for Healing Rain Ministries come to be? Is this something you had already been thinking about before even coming to the country, or was this something that developed as you were there?
this developed in me. I would say it started when I was 10 years old, like I said. And then with Chris, it started in 2000. And God started stirring it then. So it was just preparation and until we got here. I will say that in August 25th of 2011, the Lord gave me a prophecy. And I was just up praying in the middle of the night. And the prophecy was this, prepare, because in 6 months, I'm going to start launching you forward. And we, so we didn't know what that meant. So just in our family time every night, we had devotions and prayer. We said, okay, we got to start preparing to let our life go here in the United States, and start preparing to go to another country. And we didn't know, but the Lord spoke one night, and I heard in my spirit, I just heard a city surrounded by water. And Chris and I and our oldest son, Dalton, had worked in El Salvador before. And we really wanted to go there because we were already connected with El Salvador. We had never stepped foot in Nicaragua, didn't know anything about it. And anyway, so we're praying, and I hear a city surrounded by water. So I Googled it, and Managua, Nicaragua came up. So it was, yeah.
So now, like I said, I had already done a little bit of research into the work of Healing Rain Ministries, but there are several people who's going to be watching this who don't know what the mission and vision of Healing Rain Ministries is. So can you just talk a little bit about that to us and explain exactly what is the purpose of Healing Rain Ministries?
Well, and that's actually a really neat thing how we developed just as a ministry in general. We got here and it was kind of like we stepped off the plane and we were, ta-da, we're here, we're missionaries. But it was like, now what? What do we do? And so we started praying and just asking God for direction, and we kept our eyes open. We knew that we were in the right place. We just weren't sure what the exact purpose was. We had a lot of things in our heart, but we needed direction. So there were a lot of street kids here in our city. And when I say street kids, I'm saying kids from the ages of 3 or 4 up to about 12.
Yeah.
And even in the teenagers that were sleeping in cardboard boxes and they were picking out trash. And Carmen, I'll never forget, one day we were walking down the street, she was eating a piece of watermelon, and she was down to the rind, the white part of the watermelon, and she threw it in the trash can. And right behind us, a child about 5 years old grabbed that rind and pulled it out and started eating it. Yeah. And my heart just broke. Yeah. And I told Carmen, I was like, what are we doing? What can we do? And so I went to bed that night and I had a dream. And I had a dream that Carmen was making rice and beans, and we were making little bags. Yeah. And I was filling my backpack and I was taking it out on the streets and feeding these children. And I woke up and I told Carmen my dream. And she says, well, that's where we'll start. So she started making rice and beans every day, and we bag them up as a family and take them out on the street and feed these kids. And that is how we started.
We had to get there early because at 7:00 in the morning, they left because that's when all the people would enter the city. And, but we did ask them one day, we said, do you know why we're here? And they said, yeah, you're here to give us breakfast every morning. And we're like, actually, that's not why we're here. We're here because Jesus Christ sent us here to love you and tell you that he wants a relationship with you. So.
Absolutely. And so within starting Healing Rain Ministries, what is your roles in this now? Because it's obviously grown over the years. What is both of your roles in Healing Rain Ministries now?
Well, we're still very hands-on. I would consider us still a small ministry. I'm the president and Carmen's the vice president, but we have a staff of 12 total, counting us. Yes. And we're very hands-on in the day-to-day operations. We do have a director, and we do have people assigned to different positions that have responsibilities, but overall we do Matter of fact, they're having a staff meeting down below
Yes.
right now here
Yes.
at the office. But I mean, I want to be involved, not because of control. I'm a control freak, but because I want to get my hands.
Yeah,
dirty.
we
I
want to
wanna
be part
in
of
the middle
everything. Just
that's who I am. You put me on a dirt road with a bunch of kids, that's heaven to me. You know,
yeah,
that's where we thrive.
yeah.
So you mentioned you have about 12 staff members. What do some of these staff members do? Just so we can kind of get a picture of what the day operations look like.
Okay. Well, we'll start with my son, Colton, and his wife, Pamela. Colton is our videographer, and he worked for several churches in Cincinnati before coming full-time for us. He went to the University of Cincinnati and got his education for video school, and he's very good. If you go under our Facebook page or our YouTube page, all the videos, he's done them all. And it's neat to see the progression from our very first video back in the early part of our ministry to now to see his education. He's very good at what he does, and we're blessed to have him.
Yes, we are.
And then his wife, Pamela, she is in charge of our choreography and our dramas and our games for our different activities in the schools and our street ministry. So when our staff, when we go out to ministry, whether it's street evangelism or our discipleship classes in the schools or when we visit the nursing homes, Pam comes up with skits and dramas and songs and games for our staff to do to get the kids or the elderly or whoever we're ministering to involved.
Yes.
They're just tools,
to reach people.
And that's what we do. Because
tools that they love. They work here. I don't know that they would work in the United States, but they definitely work here. So,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's great.
So after Pamela, Leanne, our daughter, our youngest daughter, she's 18 years old, and she is in charge of our social media platform.
Yes.
She takes care of the Instagram, Facebook.
Yes.
Whatever
platforms we have out there.
She takes care of all that. She's really good at that. Plus, she's a planner too. She helps Pamela.
Yes.
All of our staff members, I would say in general, are children's leadership.
Yeah.
They all teach the lessons.
Yep.
They all preach.
Yes.
They all are hands-on. None of them are just one-dimensional.
Right.
If at any time I need to, if I have somebody set up to teach in the school and I need somebody else to do it at any time, I can say, so-and-so, we need you, step up to the plate.
Yep.
And they are all so versatile and so blessed and anointed to do that. I'm very capable.
They know the word, and they're not afraid to teach it. It's so amazing. In the United States, I feel like witnessing is a little taboo to people. And I hate to say it that way, but it seems intimidating or a taboo. And, but here, every one of them come out of the church that we attend here. And they know their word. They're not afraid to share it. And they have a compassion that burns in them to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. No matter, we'll do anything besides sin to share the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen. So after Leanne is Jefferson. He is our longest standing staff member. Jefferson is my Mr. Everything.
Mr. Everything.
He is my translator. He is very fluent in English.
Yes.
He even knows our slang from Ohio.
Yeah.
Our y'alls and all that. And Ewins and
he's been with us 5.5 years now. He's
very good at the southern drawl and the northern accent. He knows it all. So he's very good.
He does good.
But he's also my driver. Down here, things are a little different, just according to the law and the traffic. Traffic-wise down here, stop signs and stoplights are just optional. If you feel like it or whatever. and things can be kind of dangerous. I'm not afraid to drive.
Oh no, we drive. Yeah.
But when you get in an accident down here,
Yeah.
if you don't settle between yourselves, then the police get involved and you both go to jail.
Yeah, you both
And
go to
then
jail.
The judge figures it out. So
Yeah.
it's really, with us being American, of course, it's kind of like a tendency. I don't want to portray it, but most of the time we're the ones that are guilty.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, even when we're not.
Well, and I will say this, we've driven several times, and most of the time we get pulled over, and we didn't do anything wrong. They just see that we're gringos and they want to pull us over because they want a bribe. They want money.
Yeah, so, but it's just part of it's life here, and that's one of those cultural things. You're not going to change it. So just But as far as Jefferson, he is amazing. I say he's my Mr. Everything because he does. He translates, he drives, he can teach.
Everything.
The kids love him. They call him
Tio Colocho.
Which is Uncle Curly because his hair is very curly.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun, but he's also dating my daughter.
Yeah.
And so they've been dating for over a year now, I think. And he's a good young man. I'm proud of him. After that, we have Misael, we have Noemi, we have Itzel, we have Ali. Ali is my youth director, my youth pastor. He's also our worship leader.
Yes.
And we have, I'm missing
Giselle.
Giselle's my accountant. And who else? Is that it?
I think
that's everybody. Yep. But the rest of them, they kind of have a general role besides Giselle and Ali. They are all capable, like I said, to do everything.
Yep.
They can teach, they can come up with games, they can do dramas, when I need them to do something, they're there. And it's not so much as I'm bragging on myself and Carmen as I'm bragging on them.
Yeah.
They love the Lord, and they say, here I am.
Yeah.
Use me. I feel called to be a part of this ministry, and I want to further the kingdom. I love my country. I love Jesus, and I want to see my country come to know Jesus. And so they're amazing. They absolutely are amazing people.
Basically, we train up, and they're young people. They're all young people. 2 of them are married now. 3, counting Colton. They just got married. But they just have this passion, and they're missionaries to their own country. But we get the privilege of having them on our team. So we're so excited and with our ministry.
It's kind of funny because when Carmen and I, when we started doing the ministry, it was just our family.
Yep.
And then we added a translator eventually because, our Spanish is terrible. But,
not anymore.
It was just our family. And I felt like, discipleship is got to be key to your ministry. You've got to recreate yourself. And that's what Jesus said. He said, go into all the world and make disciples. And that's what we've tried to do. Jesus took 12 and he taught them everything he knew about the Father and about, walking with God. And he sent them out. And that's what we have tried to do with our staff. And we just teach them everything we know. And then we go with them because there's going to be someday, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we'll be in heaven or won't be able to do this, but we're not going to be around forever.
Right.
And
we have to replicate ourselves.
We do. And that's what we've tried to do. And we started with our staff, with our team. And then now we're working in the schools and in the nursing homes and on the streets and in the cities. And we're trying to recreate ourselves.
Yes.
And not recreate Chris and Carmen.
No.
But recreate disciples of Christ.
Yes.
That's amazing. So ever since I discovered you guys, I have been following you on social media. So you can tell your daughter, you got a fan over here from Ohio. There's at least me, but
thank you.
One of the first videos I saw that was posted was a video of you and Carmen with a bunch of kids around an ice cream cart. And can you guys just explain that story from your perspective? Because you can so much better. That was one of the coolest things I've seen. And as always, we've always put your social medias in our description. But I just want to hear from your perspective again of how that came to be, because that was one of the coolest things I've seen on social media in a long time.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. And it was definitely all God.
It was spur of the moment. Just everything.
Yeah, I'm not going to take any credit for
No.
just being obedient. We were coming down the dirt road to one of our schools where we work. And we always take a snack to the kids when we go to the schools.
Yes.
And we had our snacks prepared, but it was really hot that day. It was
super
in the
hot.
90s.
Oh, yeah.
Very humid. And I saw this. Here are our ice cream guys. They're not driving these nice trucks.
They have to push with their.
What's that? The ice in Ohio. The ice truck.
Oh, the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, they push little carts, and he was pushing it up this hill. And man, these things are not
pouring sweat. I mean, it was so hot, and we're sitting in our air conditioned vehicle watching this. My heart sank, but.
I felt like the Lord said to bless it. And I was like prepared. I'm like, okay, Lord, you give him a little bit of money. What do you want me to do? And I felt like the Lord just said, you know what? It's a hot day. The kids would love ice cream. Buy his ice cream and pray with him and bless him.
Yep.
And then give it to the kids. And I said, okay. So I told my driver, Jefferson, I said, stop the van. And I told Colton, I said, go tell that ice cream guy to meet us at the school. And so Colton went back and told him, and he pulled up to the school. And
he was so excited. He was coming up this big hill, and he just booked it all the way to the school. He beat us there. It was amazing. He got excited.
I said, we want to buy the kids an ice cream. So, we'll buy your ice cream. And then you can go home early for the day and relax. And of course, I asked the kids, "You want ice cream?" And they're like, "Yeah!" So they all came out, and we ended up, taking care of him. And he went away very, very happy.
So happy, yeah.
It was a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it was.
And even more so than a win, helping support him financially, it's a big testimony too. Yeah. I love watching that video. So,
and just to be clear, real quick, the ice creams. I mean, they cost me like $0.25 a piece.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
I don't want everybody to think, oh my gosh, you spent hundreds of dollars.
No.
I mean, I think I might have spent 20-some bucks,
on all those ice creams.
So, I mean, it's relevant to the ice cream.
Do they take American currency? Is that?
They do, but the ice cream man, he wouldn't have been able to because we can go into some of those grocery stores and stuff and they can convert.
Yeah.
But people on the streets.
No.
But I have to.
Yeah.
So it's a quarter of
it. So when Healing Rain Ministries first set foot in Nicaragua, was there any cultural pushback or difficulties at first? Because like I said, it can be kind of a intimidating thing. You're in a new country. And they obviously don't know you, and you're coming in as missionaries, wanting to help. Did you notice any cultural pushback, or was there a lot of acceptance with you guys coming in?
I think they are very accepting. I will say, when we first started, we were trying to start a feeding center in a community, and we weren't really familiar, and we were asking the people that were closest to us that we trusted, where can we go? And someone had told them, a certain village, and we went there and we started a small feeding center, but we realized real quick that they really weren't in that much need. And so we pulled out and we started just praying and said, God, we want you to show us where to go. We can't just do this on our own. We're not familiar with this country and we need you to show us. And he just started opening up opportunities, but the people are very accepting for the most part. Yes.
Yeah, I'll add to that.
Yeah.
Carmen's right. I mean, Nicaragua is the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. next to Haiti. So they need help. They know they need help. They're not just begging for no reason. There are people here physically starving that have no hope. They can't get a job. Jobs are very scarce here. And
especially right now.
Most people, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's a very high percentage of the population. They're day workers. They work today to put food on the table tonight.
Yep.
And so when they see missionaries coming, they know that we live where we were from, the most blessed nation in the world, that the United States is the greatest nation in the world. No matter what's going on in Washington. And, they want our help. They do, and they receive it. And they want God. I mean, they're just like anybody else, that they're hurting. They're trying to figure things out. They're trying to raise their kids. They're trying to live a good life and provide for their family. And it's just a struggle. Yeah. We've noticed a couple things. God gave us wisdom when we came here, and we befriended the city officials. Oh yeah. And the police department. Yeah. We took over 1,000 donuts to the National Police Department and gave donuts out to all the police officers. Carmen made a huge spaghetti dinner for all the firefighters, and we were able to, each time, we didn't only just give them things, but we were able to talk to them about about Jesus and explain to them who we are. Yeah. Because we don't live in a very big city, and people know when Americans come. Yeah. We stand out. And so we didn't want them thinking, wonder what they're doing. Yeah. Why are they? We wanted them to know. We wanted to be up front. Hey, we're here to help. If you know of areas that we need to work in and we can help, show us the way. Yeah. We're here to partner with you. We're not here to cause any trouble. Yep. We want to be representing Christ in the best way possible. So we met with the mayor, we met with the assistant mayor, we met with the police department, we met with the fire department. Yep. And I really think that wisdom that God gave us to do that has laid a foundation that has opened up so many doors for us to be able to minister to so many more people. Yes, it has, for sure.
That's awesome. So Carmen, you had just mentioned right there a minute ago, you said the feeding center. So let's talk a little bit about some of those things you guys helped establish. Let's start with the feeding center. Can you tell us a little bit about what that entails?
So we've built 2 feeding centers so far. And basically, they feed 500 kids a week out of both of those feeding centers. And they do it on the weekends so that the parents can come as well, not just children. And we basically, God told us just to partner with 2 churches to build the feeding centers. And they're basically attached to the church. And so we turned it over. Like, we're not here to micromanage anything. We got it going. We helped fund some of it. And, but we partnered together with them. We never took anything over, and we turned it over to them. And we have 500 kids a week eating out of both of those and their families.
Well, and when we built the feeding centers, our ministry was developing. Yes. And we wanted to do more evangelism and discipleship, but trying to do that in the feeding centers at the same time, it was exhausting. Yeah. It was killing us. And I was talking to my pastor, and he said, Chris, that horses have blinders for a reason. It keeps them focused so they don't get distracted with a lot of things. You can do a lot of good in a lot of different areas, but you need to find out where your true calling is and focus on that and do it great. And we found out that discipleship and evangelism is definitely where we want to stay focused. Yes. The feeding centers are tools. Yes. Jesus fed the people before he preached to them. So we met in need, and that's what those feeding centers do. And we're actually raising money right now to build our 3rd feeding center at our church plant. But those are just tools. We turn them over to the local pastors. They run them. They keep them going. We show them how to do things. We bought the supplies. And now we move on. Yep. And that's just not something we should have our day-to-day hands in. Right. And it's actually been so liberating.
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful to see, not just for us, but the church, the local churches being blessed because they're now operating, and we've seen their congregations grow. One church, they started when we built that feeding center, they probably had 20 members. Now, I think they're probably at least over 100 now. I mean, the church is busting at the seams.
It is.
So we're blessed by that.
When you show people that you care about their basic needs, they're willing to listen to what you have to say about God and about Jesus and the Holy Spirit. They want to hear what you have to say when they know you care about them.
Right. So you had mentioned the churches. I think I read a story that you were at least a part in establishing a church in the mountains. Can you tell us a little bit about church plantings in that area?
It's really funny because when we came down here, I told you it was just like, ta-da, I'm here now. We were youth pastors at one time, and we were missions directors at a church at one time. We never worked with the little kids, children's pastors, no way. Never thought about planning a church, never even crossed my radar until one day there was a need met. And our last trip to the U.S., the Lord gave me a message about just say yes. Just say yes and let him figure out the details. And somebody presented an opportunity for us to partner with our home church to plant another church, where we found out in this community, people were walking over 2 hours to get to church. And I mean, we worry about who could park closest to the front door, or whether it's raining, it's raining, maybe we shouldn't drive to church,
Rainy season here makes the mountains very dangerous because it becomes a river, basically, the road. Yeah.
People risk their lives to go to church. So we said yes. We had no idea what we were getting into when we decided to plant this church. And I'll be honest with you, it was like a whirlwind. The minute we said yes, God just took over.
Yeah.
The finances came in. People jumped on board.
Yeah. It was amazing.
When we first told the community we wanted to build a church, the majority of the community was totally against it because of they were a different religion. There was just various reasons. But they were like, no, we don't want you up here. We don't want you to build this church. And we were like, okay. And even the landowner where we got the land from, the community threatened him and said, don't you dare sell that land to those gringos.
Yeah.
And he said he's one of those people that if you tell him not to do something, he's actually going to do it even more. So he actually discounted the property and said, if you need more, let me know. But we bought the property, and little by little, as we started construction, started digging, the men of the community started to come down, and they would be like, oh, we'll help you if you feed us lunch or whatever. And do you know that church was built 100% by the community volunteering? Nobody got
They didn't get paid.
And now almost that whole community are members of the church.
200 members.
We had during our dedication ceremony, which there's a video on our YouTube and our Facebook page.
That was last March.
Last March.
Yes.
Right as the pandemic was starting.
Yeah, COVID.
We dedicated the church, and we had over 800 people attend the grand opening up on top of this.
It was amazing.
In the rural community.
People everywhere.
Phenomenal.
Was everyone able to fit inside of the actual building?
No. If you look at pictures, you can see there's probably over 100 people standing outside the building, in the windows, in the doorways,
everywhere,
just trying to be a part of what God was doing, because they knew that it was something special. And
it was for them. It was for them. Like we built that for them.
Yeah.
And we told them, we prayed during that service, that dedication service, we prayed and we explained to them, this is for you. This is for your children. This is for your children's children. This is, for you. This is where God wants to meet you. This is where God wants you to worship him. This is where, you can meet God and in a tangible way, and just grow in him. And you guys can be leaders of this church someday. You know, that's what we see.
That's incredible. About how far is the church from where you guys live?
It's about a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
It's not very far. It's probably about 50 miles.
It's the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's straight up. I would say most of the time you got to go 20, 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You got to cross a river.
Yeah.
It's a one-way road,
yeah.
up a mountain. It's very dangerous.
It's not paved.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to have a 4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
truck.
you do.
Wow. So now we've heard about the feeding centers. We heard a story about how a church got planted in the middle of a mountain. How has Healing Rain Ministries been involved in local schools?
Wow.
That was really cool. When we first came, I was doing a little bit of preaching in the prisons. And when you go to the prison that's close here, we would take the bus and we would go by a school. And one day, Carmen and I just looked at each other when we were on the bus and we were like, I wonder if we could just do activities in that school.
Yep.
And she's like, well, I guess we'll just have to ask. So one day after we were done at the prison,
yep,
we got off the bus at the school and we went in and in our best broken Spanish, we said, hey, can we come play with the kids? I mean, basically, it wasn't that weird, but it was that weird because we didn't really even know what we were going to do. We just wanted to try to teach them about the Lord.
Yeah.
And honestly, 8 years ago, that's how it started.
Yeah.
And today, it is the backbone of our ministry.
It's what we do.
It's our bread and butter.
That's.
We are ministering in over 10 schools to over 3,000 children
every
monthly.
month.
And the Lord has opened up doors, given us favor with the school directors and in the Department of Matagalpa.
Yes.
And we have seen so many children to know Christ. We've seen so much spiritual growth. We've seen
just
so
the parents. The parents have even changed through it. It's amazing.
The teachers.
Yes.
One of the directors came up to us one day last year and said, I want to talk to you. And we were like, oh no, what did we do wrong? We thought we just like the principal asked him to come to his office. And he said, I just want to let you guys know that since Healing Rain Ministries has been working in the schools, attendance has went up, behavior is better, grades are soaring better, and the kids are doing unbelievable since you guys have been here.
Yeah.
I said, attendance is up. I said, what do we have to do? He said, well, the kids they forget what day you guys are coming. So they come every day because they didn't want to miss when you're here. And it was just such a blessing to hear that what we were doing was making a difference.
It was encouraging. Yeah.
So what do you do with these kids? Do you just play with them, share the gospel? Is it like, do you have set times to teach or? Well,
what we do is we share stories of the Bible, and we teach them how to pray. We teach them how to have a relationship with Jesus. We teach them about the Holy Spirit. We teach them that he's with them now that Jesus is in heaven and died for us. The Holy Spirit is the one that's here with us now. And so we just teach them the undiluted word of God. And, there's no limits. It's amazing.
Don't compromise anything. And that was one of the things we decided, that if we had to water down the word or
we weren't going to do it.
Beliefs, we weren't going to do it. And we basically go in, and the kids are kids. So we try to sing a couple songs, and we have developed now, since we've been there so long, from just singing like kids songs and
to worship. Yeah, we do worship songs.
We did Open the Eyes of My Heart last week with the kids, and I mean, they were worshiping God right there in the classrooms. Abre mis ojos, oh Cristo. Abre mis ojos, te pido. Yo quiero verte. Yo quiero verte. And after that, we usually do a game or two, just something to have fun and break the ice, and then we teach the word. And then we have time of prayer. And we try to keep it to about 15 minutes per class. But
usually it's about 20.
if we had a young lady last year, 2 years ago, that was dealing with some major stuff at home. Her mom and dad were beating her every day. And she was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And she was miserable. She was like a hollow skeleton. And
she would just stare off into space when we would teach. And we asked the teacher what was wrong, and she told us, but she said, you can't make a deal of this, because then they'll investigate and come to her house. And then while they're investigating, she'll get beaten worse. And so
we really had to ask for God's direction on how to deal with it. And we didn't know. I'll be honest with you, don't have a clue how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Because it's not like going to child services in the U.S.
No.
And all that. It's just different here.
Yeah.
So we decided we would just pray for her, with her.
Yep. Encourage her.
Let God deal with it. So we befriended her. We told her how much we care about her, but mostly how much God loves her and cares about her.
And that He's with her. He's her protection.
Little by little, we started seeing a change.
Yeah.
Not just in her, but she said, my parents, they're not as mean to me.
Yes.
And
it was
this
amazing.
day now, she's in high school.
Yeah.
And we're working in the high schools. It's a totally 360. Her life has totally been transformed. She
smiles. She's happy. She has emotion again. She's alive. It was like she was dead, just sitting there, like with no emotion whatsoever. And now she's alive. And, it's amazing to see that transformation. And that testimony is huge. Like we didn't go to authorities. We didn't, because we knew that wasn't the best solution. We just trusted God, and He did it.
And I mean, with the school ministry, we want to invest in kids. We want to make disciples. We want them to have that relationship with Christ.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but sometimes missionaries, they blow in, blow up, blow out. And we want to show these kids.
We're not leaving. We're here. For them all. We're investing in you.
You can trust us.
Yeah.
You can trust us with who you are and everything you are, because we're not leaving you.
Good, bad, and ugly. We're right here.
And that, I think, has been one of the keys
unconditional
to our successes, is these kids know that we're not going nowhere, that we're invested in them, and they can trust us. Yeah. And we're family.
Yeah.
We love them.
They actually call us, the TOs are here.
Aunt and uncle.
Aunt and uncle.
So you guys, obviously, like you said, the schools are the backbone of what Healing Rain does. So I do know you have some outreach programs. You have the back to school drive and the even the Christmas food outreach program. Can you tell us a little bit about what those are?
Well, I'll do the back to school, and I'll let Carmen do the Christmas.
Yep.
With the back to school, there was a time when we first started that there was a young man. He was standing outside the gate of the school. He reminded me of Pigpen from the Peanuts. Filthy, tattered clothes, stunk. And every time we would show up to school, we would be inside ministering, having fun with the kids, and he would be outside just looking in the gate.
Yep.
I asked the teacher one day, what's his story? Why is he out there? She said, well, his parents can't afford a uniform or school supplies, so he's not allowed to come to school. Here, even in the public school, if you don't have a uniform, you don't have school supplies, you can't come. And if parents are struggling to put food on the table, how in the world are they going to buy school supplies? And so right away, I looked at Carmen, and I was like, we got to make the change right now.
Yeah.
So I went out, I said, what's your name? I said, my name's Harold. I said, do you want to come to school? He said, absolutely. I can't. I said, if I go to town and I buy you your school supplies and I buy you a uniform, you promise me you'll come every day? He said, yes, sir. That was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went and did that. I brought it back because he's still in school this day.
Yes, he is.
And so that started our back to school project. So every year we started off with, I think it was like 10 or 12 kids.
Yep.
And we would buy school supplies for them. And now we're up to over 500 children every single year.
Yep.
We buy school supplies for.
And we try to reach the neediest ones of all.
Yeah, the ones that can't come to school.
That can't come to school.
The teachers help us.
Yeah, they do. So with the Christmas project, what we started off with like 10, was it 10 back in 2013. And it just grew every year. And for the last, I would say 5 years, we've done 500 children and their families. Or more. I mean, sometimes we get an abundance of funds, so we just multiply it. So I think last year we did
560.
Yeah, 560. So anyway, but we go and get the coffee baskets. So they pick coffee here because coffee grows here in the mountains. Amazing coffee if you've never had it. So come visit. Anyway, but the coffee baskets are huge because they're picking the coffee, and the coffee is small, and they have to fill that up for the whole day. And we buy the coffee baskets and we just fill it with rice, beans, sugar, matches, oil, anything that they would need. We do shampoo, toothpaste, toiletries as well, basically. But it's just a huge basket for every family. I mean, and it's like 2 weeks worth of food and probably a month's worth of toiletries.
And that coincides with the end of the school year, which works out perfect for us because our kids down here go to school from February to November, and then they're off December and January. That's their summer. So what we do is the last week of school, we do this Christmas project, like Carmen said, and we invite the parents to the school, and we have an end-of-the-year Christmas party where we do candy, a few Christmas presents for the kids, and we have a big celebration. And then, in the classrooms. And then we give the parents the Christmas basket.
We also do blankets for them. Sometimes we'll change it up, but we do blankets so that they can, stay warm during the rainy season and stuff like that. So it's nice.
So it's been pretty neat and to watch and see how that goes. And of course, in the middle of all that, we do a program. We don't just hand out
No, as a matter of fact, we do the program first.
Yeah, we do some worship, we do some dramas, and then we do a message and we pray with the people.
Yeah.
Whether it's the kids, the parents, the teachers, whoever. We do a whole program that lasts usually about an hour, and then we give the blessing. So, and we do that also with the school supplies. So everything we do as far as outreach, it's just tools.
Yeah.
It's tools to present the gospel. The 5 loaves, and the 3 fish, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That it's just a tool to give them Jesus. That's it.
So we have heard several stories about how God is moving through Healing Rain Ministries in your country. Now, I'm sure within the past 9 years you've been there, not everything has always been smooth sailing. Can you tell us what has been some of the challenges you have had to deal with over the past 9 years?
I'd say the biggest challenges we've had is getting our residency. It's difficult. And when we first attempted, we didn't know a lot. We were very naive and didn't really know a lot of the laws and the requirements and stuff. And we spent a lot of money, and unfortunately, we got denied, and it was for various reasons. But I'll take that experience because we're in the process now of registering our NGO here in Nicaragua.
Yes.
We're registered with the IRS and a nonprofit in the U.S., but we're in the process of getting our NGO, our non-governmental organization here in Nicaragua, and getting our residency, which they come hand in hand. You have to have. There's only certain ways you can get residency here.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, you either have to be a retiree, you have to have, a pension coming in, which we don't. I'm not old enough to have that. I'm a missionary. Or you have to be an investor, investing in the business. And in order to get residency as a missionary, you have to have your NGO here. So we're in the process. We have a great attorney now helping us.
Yes.
And just one of our prayer requests, pray that everything goes in.
Yes.
All of our paperwork's being submitted. It's costing us a lot of financial dollars, but it's
God provided
it.
He did. So
we need this so much to help us move forward.
Yeah.
And but that has been probably one of the biggest struggles. The other struggle, I think, because we didn't have residency, our visas expired every 90 days. And it was tough because we always had to leave to renew our visas. So we were almost living a double life, putting things on hold here, going to the States, and then putting our lives on hold in the United States and coming back here. Yeah. And it was difficult to live that life. My kids always said, that their friends had no idea how difficult their lives were because they were trying to balance two lives.
Well, they have friends here, they have friends there, we have friends here, we have friends there, and you have to kind of put one on pause to do the other, but yet you try to still maintain those friendships from social media.
And then, of course, the difficulties of living in a third world country is it's hard. Even after 9 years, it's hard to get used to.
Sometimes you don't have power. Sometimes the water just goes off and there's no notice. It just happens.
For no reason. And you could lose water for 3-4 days.
Yeah. So we keep a barrel of water just so we can flush toilets and stuff like that.
Take a shower with a barrel.
Wow. So, and speaking of, difficulties, I'm sure just like everyone, the year 2020 and COVID-19 hitting, how did that impact not just Healing Rain, but also your family too? How did it impact things in Nicaragua?
It was very hard. Part of it is real personal, and I'll let Carmen share that. But when COVID started to hit, we had a team here. We host teams from the U.S. And actually, the ironic part was it was a team from Oklahoma. It was the very first time they'd ever been here. It was a youth group and their youth pastors. And part of the youth group, the kids, were the pastor's kids. And they were here when COVID broke out. And there was rumor that they were going to start shutting down the airports, shutting down the airlines. And this pastor, thankfully, he had enough faith in me after not even knowing me. But since then, I've met him in person. And
he's pretty awesome.
He was an awesome man. But he entrusted God and trusted me with his kids. And we were able to finish out their week. We sent them home. And then we called the airlines. And 2 days before they stopped all air traffic, we got out of here because we weren't sure.
We weren't sure what to do.
Didn't know. And the last thing I wanted to do was get caught with my family here in a foreign country, in a third world country where the healthcare is very poor. And one of us gets sick. Carmen has got health problems. Well, not really in the past with her lungs.
Yeah, I've had problems in the past with my lungs.
We just didn't want to take the chance of being caught with the unknown. So we got on a plane and came to the U.S. After a couple months, we realized that was a terrible decision. But our footsteps are ordered by God.
Yes, they are.
And when I say terrible decision, just because we were homesick. We wanted to get back.
Yeah, we wanted to be here and we couldn't for 9 months.
So we were able to come back in November. And of course, when we were in the U.S., we weren't able to visit churches and tell about our ministry.
No, because of COVID.
We couldn't go.
Yeah.
So we were like everybody else affected. We were at home all the time.
Yeah.
Watching church online.
Yeah.
Doing the thing.
We still kept in touch with everyone, through social media and Zoom. Hey.
We use Zoom with our staff, from here and kept in touch with
everybody. Yeah, we had meetings every single week.
Encouraged everybody here and just kept things going. And then in November, we were able to come back.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Little by little, we were to start gaining some momentum. Well, then I'll let Carmen.
Colton and Dalton stayed with my parents in Ohio, and they drove them to the airport to fly to Nicaragua on Sunday the 13th of December. Well, Colton got here and he immediately said after he got back from the airport, he's like, I don't feel well. And we're like, oh, you've been traveling all day, just sleep it off. You'll be fine in the morning. And he woke up with like a sore throat and stuff. And he's like, I really feel like a truck hit me. I don't have much energy. And I'm like, well, maybe you're just coming down with something. We didn't think COVID because their test was negative. And come to find out, we ended up getting symptoms as well. Like a couple of days later, Chris on Wednesday, had symptoms, and he's like, I can't move. I feel like, a truck hit me too. And then by Friday, I was sick. We all lost our taste and smell. And then my sister sends me a Facebook Messenger. Oh, by the way, did you know that Dad tested positive for COVID on Wednesday? And so he had COVID and didn't know it. And so Colton brought COVID here. Dalton never got it. I don't know what was up with that. Maybe he was asymptomatic. I don't know. But we all got it, even Pamela, Colton's fiance at the time. So it took us a good 3.5 weeks to get over it. We were pretty just weak and stuff like that. And on Christmas, I actually had a doctor come and I had to have breathing treatments and stuff because I went into a coughing fit for 3 hours. And I just needed God to do a miracle in me because of, I was in a car accident and I actually died for 13 minutes when I was 15 and my lungs collapsed. So I was in University of Cincinnati Hospital on life support for over a month. So that just explains I have some scar tissue and stuff on my lungs from that. But moving forward, the day after Christmas, my dad went to the hospital in Cincinnati because his COVID made a turn towards the worst in him. And 2 days later, my mom had to go to that same hospital. So they were both patients in the same hospital with COVID. And my dad ended up in the ICU. And, we knew it was really bad when my dad had 2 cardiac arrests in one day. And, Chris and I left January 17th to go back to the States. And God gave me a week with my dad. I was able to actually visit him in ICU, and he passed away on January 26th of COVID. So that was a really hard time, and it's still hard, but I know he's with Jesus. So, I mean, he's way better than he was here.
And so we were already there, and it financially, because of COVID, there's not a lot of airlines flying into Nicaragua. As a matter of fact, there's only 2.
Yeah.
The big airlines, the U.S. carriers, are not coming here yet because of the restrictions the Nicaraguan government has on the COVID requirements. So it's very expensive for us to travel. It's more than double what it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
So we were already in the States, and we decided, well, we'll try to raise our funds for the next year while we're here, and then come on back. And so that's what we were able to do. So then on May 5th, we flew back here, or May 7th.
Yeah, May 7th.
We flew back here. We had our son's wedding.
Yes.
And hit the ground running, and now we're rolling. And, things are good, but COVID definitely affected us and hurt us. But we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still going.
Well, COVID here in Nicaragua is kind of sporadic. Like, you don't hear about it, and then all of a sudden, this community has COVID, don't go there, that type of thing. So, and once a community is affected with COVID, they kind of lock it down. Does that make sense?
Right. And there's probably, because there's less travel to and from Nicaragua, not everybody goes there. It kind of keeps everything contained.
It does.
Looking forward in the future, is there anything that you have your vision set on for Healing Rain of, we want to tackle this next?
Yeah. Actually, our goal for the last several years, God gave us a vision of what, we were working towards. And we're getting close. We know it's in His timing, but we want to buy a large piece of property. And we want to have a compound because, like I said before COVID, we were hosting quite a few teams every year from the U.S. coming down and helping us. But we want to open up kind of the best way to describe it is kind of like a YMCA day camp type thing. On this property, we'll have dorms for our teams to come down from the U.S. to stay in, so we don't have to rent a hotel.
Yeah.
We'll have a feeding center to feed the teams, but also feed the communities.
Yes.
We'll have a church. I'd like to have a building that would be like a technical school to teach trades to people. So I've got a little bit of a background in electrical work. We can teach plumbing. We can teach sewing to the ladies. We can teach car repair. Skills, to help the people to get jobs. But just really to have a place where kids can come, do like vacation Bible schools, to be able to continue to minister to them during the summers, because when the kids are not in school, there's just really nothing for them.
There's nothing.
A lot of them, we've got a vision of them coming in. We pick them up on buses, we bring them in, we feed them breakfast, we do activities, outreaches, and then we can take them home in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's definitely, there's a bigger vision that continues to grow, but that's our goal, to get that property and to continue to plant churches, not just the one up on top of the mountain, but when God opens a door, we'll say yes.
Yeah, we just say yes.
We'll continue to do that. But right now, we have 4 schools that we can't get to. And the reason we can't get to them is because they're up in the rural communities. You have to cross a river. You have to, go up these dirt mountain roads. And we have a very nice van. It's a 15-passenger van.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It only sits about 8 inches off the ground. And we can't take it up into the mountains. So we're trying to get a 4-wheel drive vehicle or truck. So the 2 things that are immediate, the goals are the truck and the property.
Yeah.
We have a lady that we met here, an elderly lady. She's Nicaraguan. And we met her several years ago, but she has a piece of property that is absolutely
perfect for what we need.
And she told us that God spoke to her, that that's our property, and she wants to sell it to us. And she would actually, I believe, give it to us. But
if she could.
She has kids that want the inheritance, and I understand that. But she says that her only prayer is that she's alive long enough to hand it over to us. So that's where we're headed. We get this property, and I believe it's going
to take our ministry to a whole nother level. Yeah. We just had our first pastors conference. We were not here, but we prepared for it before we left to, go back and say goodbye to my father. But in January, there was a pastors conference that we did for the first time. And we want the pastors of Matagalpa to know we are not competition to you. We are working together for the same goals. And this is kingdom mindedness, like we're on your team and you're on ours. So we bless them. 50 pastors. As a matter of fact, I was visiting my dad that day in the hospital and I said, Dad, there are 50 pastors in Matagalpa right now praying for your healing. And we were having a pastors conference here and our whole team was doing that while we were doing what we needed to do in the States. But
that was really cool.
Wow. So it sounds like you're setting up a legacy, something that can continue on even after you're gone. And that's the goal, right?
Yes.
All right. And so within doing everything that you do, there comes things that a lot of people don't think about as far as, supplies goes and everything it takes to maintain this ministry. So how do you guys get those supplies? Is that through the support of churches here? How does that come about to be? Because like I said, a lot of people don't think about that side of things.
Yeah,
right.
We have a few churches that support us faithfully, and we couldn't do it without the local churches in the U.S.
We're so thankful for each and every one.
Amazing. we don't call it supporters. We call it partners.
Partners.
Because when Carmen and I first started this, we were like, we are not going to try to get 1,000 churches to just send a check every month. We want churches that would physically partner with us, not just financially, prayerfully, but actually come and see what you're being a part of, what you're sowing into. And
because then they catch a vision.
Absolutely.
They catch a vision and then they take it back to Ohio or Oklahoma or wherever they're at. And then they start doing things different. They catch a fire.
It's really been cool. But friends and family too. I mean, that's the way that we're supported.
Yes.
And,
individual supporters as well.
We are so blessed, and we used to bring some supplies on the plane with us, as far as clothes and different things, but that is so expensive.
Yeah,
so
it's changed a lot.
The best way to support us is financially and in prayer.
Yeah. We buy everything here. It's actually a lot cheaper to buy things here as long as it's not imported from the United States or somewhere else.
And we've really taken notice. We are supporting the local economy, the local business, the small mom and pop places. Just for instance, a quick story. Our school supplies that we buy for our school back to school project, they're from one lady. She runs a business out of her house. Okay. She buys from a big distributor and then tries to make a little bit of money. So we buy from her. All the cardboard boxes that her supplies are delivered to us in, we then recycle them with another ministry here, a local Nicaraguan ministry, who recycles the boxes, and they make a little bit of money for their ministry. Then we do outreaches where we buy paper bags. They make paper bags out of those cardboard boxes. So I turn around, I donate the cardboard boxes to their ministry. Then I buy the paper bags from them to support the local ministry.
Yes.
And it's just so cool to see the relationships that we're forming with the locals. And God is blessing us, He's blessing other businesses. And it's really neat to see how Healing Rain is touching a lot more people and reaching a lot more people than we could ever imagine.
So, for example, someone will support a child in a family for Christmas for $20. And then they get that coffee basket and everything that I said goes in it. But then we turn around and, our garage is full. Our garage is huge. So it's full, like a warehouse of all these cardboard boxes from all the supplies that we got delivered to put in those baskets. And then, the blessing just continues because we donate it. And then, it's just amazing. So they're not just supporting these families and kids, they're also supporting other ministries through it. And
Wow. So we have heard just a little bit of how you can be involved, but a big part of what the show is about is not only figure out who you are, what you do, but also how people can, like you said, Chris, partner. And so if there's anybody watching the show now that says, I want to help partner with Healing Rain Ministries, what's some ways they can do that?
Well, first of all, prayer.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Most important.
It's not cliche to us. We know we can't do anything without God.
No.
It's about Him. It's for Him. And we can't do anything without Him. So we need your prayers. We need your support that way. But financially, obviously, the money is what makes the world goes around. That's what allows us to do what we can do. And financially, you can give. There's several ways. We have a website, which I think you said you were going to post that. We have PayPal. We have Venmo.
Cash App.
Write a check. You can. So our PO box. We have an accountant in the U.S. that takes care of everything for us financially there. So everything is 100% tax deductible.
Yes.
And 100% of your funds goes into the ministry.
Yes.
Carmen and I take a very little salary.
Yeah.
We're not in this to become rich or make money. We both had great jobs before this. And if we wanted to make money, we would never walk into ministry, let alone be a missionary.
Yeah.
You do this because you love the Lord and your call.
Yes.
And
it's definitely a calling.
That's why we do what we do. So we are very transparent in everything we do.
Yes.
But there's multiple ways you can give.
All right. And as always, everything will be in the description. We'll put their email in case you want to contact them, find out more about how to partner, their social medias, everything you need to figure out how you can partner with Chris and Carmen and Healing Rain Ministries. Thank you two for joining. My final question for you two today, I ask this in every interview, is what is some specific prayer requests we can pray, not just for Healing Rain Ministries, but also your family as well?
Well, the one right off the top of my head is for our oldest son.
Yeah.
He has recently graduated from college. He has several degrees, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, and he is in the process and transition of his next assignment for God. And he had an interview yesterday, and he actually is deciding whether he's going to accept this position. But we just want direction.
Yes.
So prayer for direction for Dalton. For all of our children, direction for Colton and the man, because we want our children to definitely be blessed and walk in their callings.
We just need God's wisdom as well as we continue to say yes and navigate these things that God is asking us to do, because he asked you to do them, but you don't always know what that entails. And it's all about timing and things like that. So, but also that more teams would want to come and work with us, even with the airline tickets being high, because, it really empowers our people here in Nicaragua, and it empowers us, encourages us. And we can do so much more when the team is here. Absolutely. Because there's more resources that come in with that. And so it's just amazing.
Yeah, we just pray for the people of the world that, people would turn to Jesus. We know a lot of people are facing difficulties with COVID, whether it be through a loss of a family member like we have experienced, loss of a job, whatever it may be. And we know it's difficult firsthand.
But we want to see the captives set free. We want to see people receive salvation and have a relationship with Jesus Christ and their lives to be changed.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's really what the Healing Rain Ministries is all about.
If COVID taught me one thing as a leader, as a father, as a husband, as a man of Christ, is this life is a vapor.
It is.
As the word tells us. It's very quick. We're here today, we're gone tomorrow. And, I follow a YouTuber, a Christian YouTuber. He's really awesome. But his line, his motto is all men die, but few men live. All men die, but few men live. And you said it earlier that we're leaving a legacy, that we're leaving something tangible here in Nicaragua. And that's what I want. When Carmen and I are gone, and we go to be with the Lord, I want not Chris and Carmen to be glorified, but that church up on top of that mountain we planted, it's going to be there for many years, changing lives for many years for the kingdom. And that's what it's about. Yeah. This life is too short to worry about the petty details, the little bickering and the difference in opinions. Love Christ and love this
people.
Life, love people. Yeah. Colton, our son, has his YouTube channel. He says, what is it?
A life to love.
Yeah. It's love life, love people, and live an extraordinary life. That's his motto. And it's so true. It really is that, God's got it under control. We just need to trust him and love him.
We have a scripture verse that's our motto for our ministry, and God gave it to us. It's Proverbs 31, 8 and 9. It says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy.
We just got about an hour or so glimpse into what has been 9 years of Healing Rain Ministries, and a lifetimes more to come. Like you said, you're leaving a legacy. The prayer is that Healing Rain will continue to flourish even after you two have gone home to be with Jesus. So thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Chris, for joining me today. And I look forward to keeping in touch with you. So God bless you.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you.